Yeah. Okay, my name's Deirdre and I'm a countryside ranger, and I've come along to speak to you about mini beasts, which is a brilliant subject, one of my favourites. I've got some mini beasts to show you, and I've also got a helper with me, Christine, and Christine will just come into shot to wave to you. Okay, so that's Christine, and she'll be in the background helping with the mini beasts, which are completely untrained, so we hope they're all going to behave themselves. But I wanted to say, first of all, something about mini beasts. What are mini beasts? I just wonder if you all know exactly what they are. A lot of people think mini beasts are insects, but insects all have exactly 6 legs. So flies are insects, bees are insects. So insects are mini beasts, but there's a lot more things as well. Slugs have no feet, no legs, and they're mini beasts. And some creatures like woodlice and spiders have 8 legs, and they're mini beasts. And some creatures like millipedes and centipedes have lots and lots of legs, and they're also mini beasts. Now, mini beasts are all around us. You can find them in gardens. You can find them just on walls. You can find them in flower pots. They're all around us, and they're really easy to find and enjoy watching. The thing is, some people might be a bit yuck about mini beasts. So what's good about them? Well, mini beasts are what help us get food, because mini beasts pollinate flowers and crops and plants, so they help all the plants to grow. Mini beasts help to make the soil that plants grow from. They keep everything in balance, and mini beasts make things like, what about honey? Who doesn't love honey? And that comes from mini beasts as well. Of course, bees make honey. So mini beasts are great creatures, and we couldn't really do without them. And some of them are especially beautiful. My own favourite are moths. I absolutely love moths, and I've got some special moths to show you today. Okay, so what we're going to do first of all is I'm going to say a little bit about how we find moths. Okay, a lot of moths fly at night. A lot of moths actually fly during the day as well. To get moths at night, what I had to do last night was I set up a special box with a very bright light. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen moths fly around a light, but a lot of moths are attracted to light. And so my special box had bright lights in it, and the moths flew towards the light, fell into the box, and there was lots of egg boxes where they could snuggle down and stay for the night, ready for me to collect them today to show you. So I've got a few moths to show you, but there's also a special way that you can discover what moths live near you. There's a special mixture. You can make a sweet mixture that you can make up and paint onto trees or fence posts, and that will attract moths as well. And there'll be instructions online about how to use that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is show you some of the moths that I collected in the moth trap in my garden last night. And we'll start off with this one. Now, moths come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Christine's going to hold this one up. And is that the one? That's the, yeah. This one is called, see, it's a big moth. This is a large moth, and it looks quite dull brown, but this has actually got beautiful yellow underwings. So moths have got 4 wings, which is the wings you see, the brown that you see, but underneath, it's almost like it's underwear, is a beautiful bright yellow. And if that moth feels it's in danger, if it's resting during the day and something comes up, like a bird, and it thinks it's going to be eaten, it'll suddenly flash its yellow underwear its yellow underwings at the predator and give it a fright, startle it, and it'll say, oh, what's that? And that'll give the moth a chance to get away. So most of the time it keeps its yellow underwings hidden, so it's all camouflaged and it blends in with the trees in the background. But if it needs to startle something to stop it being eaten, it can flash its bright yellow. It's not going to do that just now. It's obviously quite comfortable in its tub, and we don't really want to. When we've got these animals in tubs, they're in our care, so we want to be gentle with them. Remember, you might be scared of large mini beasts, but always remember how much larger you are than them. And really, we're much more scary to them than they are to us. So always be gentle when you've got any of them. Okay, so that's the yellow underwing, large yellow underwing. Oh, it just flashed its wing there. See if you can.
No, not on cue.
Yes, it's doing it off camera. That's badly trained moths. Here we've got one, and this one is called a small angle shade. Now they've all got these amazing, they've all got those names that a lot of them describe what they look like. And this is called an angle shade. It's quite difficult to see the markings, so I'm going to try shining a torch. This has got beautiful shiny bits on it. Just hold still, Christine. Sorry, thanks. And you can maybe make out the markings. See if you could angle it a little bit. Find the beautiful markings when you shine a light on them. They're quite beautiful. It's quite hard to show you, but this is called a small angle shade. And it's quite, you can maybe see it there. And it's got shaded angles on its wings. And so it's quite a good name. It's quite an easy name, but describes what it looks like. So see what else we've got here. You just see the yellow underwings there if you want to. Do you want to try that again?
It won't do it on screen. No, I'll keep it here.
Then we've got our next moth is called, remember I was saying that a lot of the names of the moths describe what they look like, and this one is called a double square spot. So you've got to look at it and see, and this is how you can tell what the moths are. Because at first, when you first go to the trap and you see all these different brownish moths, they all look the same. Then you look closely at the different patterns, and there are actually lots and lots of different kinds of moth. And a lot of the patterns tell you what they are, give you a clue what they are. And this is got two square spots, and so it's a double square spot. I'll let Christine show that to you.
I'll try. I think that looks very different.
Here's the...
No.
Okay. Have you got the minor rustic? And our next one has got two little white bits on its wing, and it's got the name of common lesser rustic. And rustic, it really describes the sort of pattern on it, and you can just see the white bits there, two little white crescents, and it's a slightly different shape from the other moths, and that's how we can tell what that one is. Now, that's fine, thanks, Christine. You see, some moths are better behaved than others, I have to say. Okay, just like people. No, I think we've... now, we've been speaking about the moths that we've caught in the moth trap. Not all moths fly at night. A lot of moths actually fly during the day. And not all moths are brown. Some moths are brightly coloured. And I'm going to show you one that flies during the day, and it's one that you can look for yourselves, because there's lots of them about right now. So if you're walking along the coastal path or through the grass, you can keep an eye out for them. And this is, it's got a name again, it describes it quite well. It's called a 6-spot burnet moth. So it's a moth where you need to count the spots, because you also get a 5-spot burnet moth, believe it or not, that looks just the same, but it's got one less spot. So Christine's going to hold this up for you. This is a beautiful moth. And like I say, it flies during the day. It would be, that's the underside. If we turn it round, you can maybe see the red spots. See that? Beautiful red spots. And it's a very, very shiny green wing, covered with vivid red spots. They're very, very beautiful moths. And when you see them in the sunshine, they shine like jewels. Really, really pretty. So that's something that you could look out for at this time of year. They love the coast. You often find them along the coast, and they seem to love yellow flowers. So look out for them on yellow flowers. You can just see the green there. Beautiful red and green. That's called a 6-spot burnet. Now, all moths start off as caterpillars, just like butterflies do. They all start off as caterpillars, and some of them live for a long time as a caterpillar, and then they turn into a moth, and they just live for a short time as a moth. So most of their life, they are a caterpillar. And caterpillars are very, very tasty snacks for birds and small animals. So they can't fly away when they're a caterpillar, can they? Caterpillars can't fly. So they've got to find special ways to defend themselves, okay? And we've got different methods of doing that. Now, the first one I'll show you is this one. This little caterpillar, I don't know if you can see it in the middle there. This is called a chamomile shark moth caterpillar, and it uses camouflage to defend itself. So it looks just like the plant that it feeds on, and it blends into the background, and it's very good at playing hide and seek. So birds can't see it because it's hidden amongst the plants, and the birds can't tell what's the plant and what's the caterpillar. So that's what that one does. But you do get other ones like this, and we'll be seeing some real ones of these just in a little while. This is called a cinnabar moth caterpillar. And wears brightly coloured pyjamas. This is really, really bright. It does nothing to hide itself at all. In fact, quite the opposite. It's very, very obvious, and it really stands out. So what this does is actually only lives on one type of plant. One type of plant called ragwort. And this type of plant is poisonous. But this caterpillar is able to eat it, and instead of going into its tummy, all the poisons go into its skin, and they make the caterpillar poisonous, and that means birds and animals can't eat them. So they're very clever. So not only do they eat a poisonous plant, but they're able to use the poison in the plant to make themselves taste horrible, so that other creatures leave them alone. And the bright colours are to warn other creatures, stay away, we're poisonous. Okay, so that's the cinnabar moth caterpillars. So they don't need to hide, not like the chamomile shark. But there's also another type of defence. And this is a hair. I'm sure some of you will have seen a hairy caterpillar before. And this is a very, very hairy caterpillar, the hairiest of all. And this is called a garden tiger moth caterpillar. And the hairs are really, really itchy and irritating. In fact, if you see one of these, it's better not to touch it with your hands, you know. You can certainly look at it and they're amazing to see and they're quite fun to watch, but you're better not to touch it. And if you were a bird, you certainly wouldn't want to eat it because all these irritating hairs would stick in your throat and give you a tickly throat. So that's what they use. They use these irritating hairs to keep themselves safe because nothing wants to eat them. So you see all these different, there are even, I don't have a picture of one just now, but there's even caterpillars that are designed to look like bird poo. And no bird wants to eat bird poo. So if they look like bird poo on a branch, they get left alone. So all of the caterpillars have got very special ways of staying safe. And then of course, once they're a moth, they can fly away. Okay, so now we're going to show you, we've got a special tank set up, and in the tank, we have got some real cinnabar moth caterpillars, and that's the caterpillars that eat the poisonous plant, and they absorb the poisons into their skin, and that makes them really yucky to eat. What we've also got in this tank, and what you'll hopefully be able to see, is some other mini beasts, because of course there's other mini beasts as well. And in it, we have a little baby grasshopper. We've got a ladybird, and everybody who doesn't love ladybirds. And we've also got, in another tub, we've got some woodlice to show you, or slaters as they're often known. So hopefully these things will all be in show, and we'll get Christine to show you the tank. Okay, so here we've got this tank and it's set up. Now, I don't really want to take the lid off, but I'm just going to give, oh, it fell down. This is the ladybird, but I was just trying to do an escape with. If you just look down at here, along this branch, you'll see one of the cinnabar moth caterpillars. And you see their stripy pajamas. Now, they'll grow a lot bigger than that, but that's something that you can look out for when you're out walking. And they're great to look out for because they don't hide away. They don't need to hide away. They've got too many poisons in their skin. Nothing will touch them. So they're quite brave. They'll come out in the open and they're great for you to look for. You can look out for them. And they're perfectly, you can look for them, enjoy looking at them. You can let them crawl over your finger. They won't harm us unless you eat them. And I'm sure none of you want to eat a caterpillar. So along the top here, we have got a ladybird. And you'll find ladybirds everywhere. This is the one you're most likely to find. Red with black spots. And this is, again, we have to count the spots. This is a 7-spot ladybird. And that's the one you're most likely to see when you're out and about, walking in the countryside or in your garden or even on your window box. Ladybird. Ladybirds have wings. So that's why I'm not taking the lid off, because the ladybird might suddenly fly off. Yes. Now, a ladybird is actually a type of beetle, but very, very, yeah. And ladybirds, when ladybirds are babies, young ladybirds, they look nothing like what they do as adults. And in here somewhere, we've got a ladybird pupa. Now the ladybird baby, when it's growing into an adult, for a while, it goes into what you call a pupa. So it goes to sleep in a special shell, and then the adult, once it's grown, the adult breaks out. And if you can see what the light's shining on, that's a ladybird pupa. So soon that's alive. It looks dead because if you might see these stuck to leaves in your garden and they look dead, they look just like they're not alive at all. But after a little while, if you keep an eye on it, an adult ladybird will come out of it. Now there's something else in here that's quite interesting. We have got a young grasshopper. And if we see it there?
Just hopped over.
I'm going to put my hand in and just see if I can see there. Oh, there he is, he jumped. These are, but now, I don't need to tell you how they get out of danger. If something's going to eat them, they jump very, very high. And this is just a baby grasshopper. And unlike ladybirds, baby grasshoppers look just like their parents. So as this little baby grasshopper grows, every time he gets too big for his skin, he actually takes off his old skin and grows a little bit underneath. And then every time he grows a bit too big for his skin, he takes it off. So it's just like you getting too big for your clothes and getting new clothes. That's what he does. So this is, and this is, when you get a baby insect that looks like its parents, you call it a nymph. When you get a baby insect that looks nothing like its parents, you call it a larva. So there's something for you, a wee bit of extra for you. So we've got something else here. And this is something that you will definitely see. Everybody can see this on your doorstep, under the doormat, under a brick in the garden. Some of you might even find them wandering over the bathroom floor from time to time. This is a woodlouse. And they're known as slaters. They're known as, we used to call them boosters when we were little. They've got all sorts of different names, but their proper name is woodlouse. And do you want to hold that up? I think you. I'm sure you've all seen a woodlouse before. What I'd like to tell you about them is, are they an insect? I used to think they were insects, but they're not. If you count the legs, you'll see they've got too many legs to be an insect. Woodlice are actually related to shrimps. So when you walk along the seashore and you see shrimps, crabs, prawns, woodlice are related to them. So they're more like a prawn than another insect. So there you are. And if you look at them closely, you actually see they do look a little bit like the sort of creatures that you would find in a rock pool. And you do get sea slaters that live in the rock pools under the water. So that's woodlouse. So next time you see a woodlouse, instead of saying, ugh, it's not nice, just think, it's really a type of shrimp, you know, and then it doesn't seem quite so yucky. Now, we're going to move on to a lot of creatures. A lot of these mini beasts are actually in trouble. So it may seem like there's lots and lots of them, but creatures like moths and butterflies and ladybirds, they face an awful lot of problems because they need to find places to live. And in our towns, there's not so many green areas where they can go and find food. All living creatures need food, they need somewhere to live, and they need somewhere to keep safe, and somewhere with shelter from enemies and from weather. So that can be quite difficult for them in our towns. Because if you think about it, we've got roads and pavements and buildings and concrete, and it can be quite a challenge. Sometimes gardens are very good and window boxes and parks are very good. But we can always try and do a little bit more to help them. And I don't know, some of you may have made bug hotels before, and that's really, really good. But you can actually do the most simplest little way of helping mini beasts. I'll just get is to go for when you're next out for a walk, have a look for these dead plants. Okay, they're plants from last year and they've gone all hard, and they're actually, you can actually see through them, all the way through them. They're actually hollow. And there's lots of these. If you look in parks and along riverbanks, or even maybe in your garden, and you can gather these and you can actually just break them up like so. Get a little bit of string. In fact, something's just come out of one. Christine's going to put it in a tub and I'll let you see what it is. But we just collected these and we've had a mini beast just come out.
It's his favourite.
Oh. So we've got some, what we do is we get these, we tie a bit of string round them, and you've got a miniature bug hotel just like that. And what you would do, then is just stick it in a hedge, or just put it somewhere, maybe in a grassy bank somewhere, just put it somewhere nearby. And that, there's another, and that will actually create a home, a special hideout for all sorts of mini beasts. And there's a lot of creatures that hibernate, they sleep through the cold winter, including ladybirds and little moths, caterpillars, and this is a perfect home for them to hibernate throughout the winter. So if you're wanting to look at ways that you can help mini beasts, even if you don't have the materials to make a big bug hotel, you can simply tie some of these together, stick them in a hedge, and you'll be doing your bit to help. And later, you can go and have a little look and see if anything's taken up your bug hotel. Okay, so these are mini bug hotels. Other ways you can help mini beasts is to plant flowers, or maybe help plant a window box. And ways that you can actually find mini beasts is to simply look under stones, look around flowers. Look, you always think yourself, if you were a tiny, tiny little creature, where would you go to feel safe? And then you would maybe on the underside of leaves, in the cracks of bark on a tree, under stones, and you look there and the chances are you will find them. Okay, because they're everywhere and they're fascinating things and they're great to look at. Now, something else, sorry. Oh, it's okay, Christine's just dealing with a little escape. Her creatures are getting restless. What we will be doing with these animals, and it's the same with you, if you ever want to collect animals to have a closer look, that's fine, but always release them where you found them. That's very important because that's their home. And so what we will be doing with these is taking them back to where they belong and letting them go, and they'll be none the worse. They'll probably have had quite an interesting day to tell all their friends, but they won't be harmed. Now, I'll just show you ways of things that you can do to collect mini beasts. Bug boxes. Bug boxes like this are really good. You can use jam jars. You can use all sorts of boxes. You don't have to get the special bug boxes. Always make sure they've got breathing holes though. You see this one's got holes there. Always, and this is useful because it's got a little magnifier, and that helps you see little creatures much bigger so you can really study them. Other things, now you might not want to use this. This is called a putter, and this is what some experts use. And what you do with a putter is there's two tubes sticking in a tub. You use one tube, you put one tube over the little creature, and you suck through the other tube, and that sucks the little creature all the way up the tube and into your tub. You have to make sure you don't suck it all the way up the other tube though, that's the thing. But that's called a putter, and that's what some people use to collect them. And then there's special nets like this one. A little bit like pond nets, but what you do with that is you can use a pond net if you like, and you just sweep it through gently through the grass and then have a look and see what you've collected. Okay, and finally, that one other way that you can collect mini beasts is if you've got an old white sheet or an old light coloured umbrella, put it under a tree or a bush, get a stick and hit the bush. And a lot of the little creatures that are in the tree will then fall down into your white sheet, and you'll be able to look at them and then be sure and release them again afterwards. Okay, so there's lots of different ways that you can use to have a really good look at mini beasts. The other way, of course, is simply to go out and look for them and just enjoy looking at them where they are. Okay, so that's all for now. So now if there is any questions, I'd be delighted to try and answer them for you. Okay?